Well, despite the warm welcome, NRA members became a little nervous when Trump seemed open to some gun control measures after Parkland, Florida, the horrible shooting there in February. And some are upset that the administration hasn't pushed gun rights bills, such as that concealed carry reciprocity legislation. Let's get reaction from Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union, who attended President Trump's speech today, along with Philippe Reines, is a former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton. Great to see both of you. All right, Matt, you were in the room as this was going down today. And it was a rock star welcome. It's such a tedious phrase overused, but they love President Trump, and he made a little news today. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, the one thing about President Trump is he doesn't have a long-standing voting record, and he's willing to look at these issues afresh, which sometimes makes people nervous. And in the room today, he talked about the idea that we have to confront these problems of violence in our society, and we have to look at our laws. And that's what he said on bump stocks, and on other questions, he's talked about the background check. And look, it makes some people in the room uneven, but I think you're right, Laura. Overall, the people who are members of the NRA are just so thankful to have a president who's standing up for the Second Amendment. So I'd say overall a rousing reaction.
The House Intel Committee, Congressman Eric Swalwell, unloaded on guns and gun control, and he said something about confiscation, which made people concerned. We should ban possession of military-style semi-automatic assault weapons. We should buy back such weapons from all who choose to abide by the law. And we should criminally prosecute any who choose to defy it by keeping their weapons. So, Philippe, it seems like people always will jump to, well, you just want to take our guns away. And Democrats say, no, we want just smarter laws. We want gun control legislation that's smart and common sense. But he goes to confiscation here. What do you think about that?
Well, I understand watching President Trump where he conflates all sorts of different things, where it conflates immigration and the Second Amendment. But the truth of the matter is that the Second Amendment is not under siege. The Supreme Court is safely conservative. The thing he's been most successful about has been in conservatives in the court, on the court. The Second Amendment is not going anywhere. And while he's speaking to the NRA, polling of gun owners on the whole actually show that people are, even in the light of Parkland, they are open to regulations, whether it's in terms of Eric Swalwell, bump stock and people stalking and domestic violence.
He's talking about Australian-style gun confiscation, though. And I think a lot of people on the left, I mean, you read the comments, let's get rid of all guns. A lot of the people who are rightfully outraged after Parkland said, this is ridiculous. We don't need these guns. And there are, hundreds of millions of guns
I think the frustration is among people like Eric Swalwell and people like me, not that I'm agreeing with that particular suggestion, is that the Second Amendment's not going anywhere. We're not trying to take everyone's guns, but we don't want Parkland to happen again. And there has got to be something in those two things. And
Parkland, we know all the things that happened leading up to that.
Well, everything led up to though was, but also everything he did was legal.
Oh, 98%.
He bought a legal weapon.
Yeah, he did, but we had multiple warnings to the FBI, and Matt, you can comment on this. Multiple warnings to the FBI. The sheriff, obviously himself under siege for his handling of all this, and as it was happening when people were sitting outside instead of rushing into the building. But I think when you looked at what happened today, President Trump was talking about the NRA being under siege. It has blood on its hands. I mean, we even had Jim Comey on Wednesday in Miami. He was doing a book event, and he said the NRA sells fear to gun owners. He said he doesn't like to get into politics, but he was adamant that the NRA is part of the problem.
Well, they can't have it both ways, Laura. They can't put out, the congressman can't put out a tweet saying he wants to do semi-auto confiscation of guns, and then on the other hand say, like Philippe is saying, well, it's not under attack. I think what Philippe is trying to say, yeah, the Second Amendment is in the Constitution, but Democrats want to take their ability to regulate our ability to own guns to the max. And here's the thing of the politics of this. I was in the White House when the last semi-auto ban expired. The Democrats talked about wanting to have a semi-auto ban, but there were no bills when it expired because they realized the politics of gun confiscation are terrible. So they jump on these issues when when there's these terrible tragedies. But when it really comes down to the legislation, like when Barack Obama had a supermajority in the Senate and a big majority in the House, he didn't get it done.
All right, guys, thanks to you both for being here.